you doing? I'm glad to have you back. This is Rick Wilson and Studio Bug. So glad to have you back. I know you're thinking, hey, wait a minute. A fella with overhauls ain't supposed to be able to play the piano. Well, I can play it better than the violin, so if that's any consolation. Anyway, hey, let's get into this. Some had it better, but we didn't know it. If times were hard on mom and dad, they didn't show it. You see, life was good as it could be for a little boy growing up in Selma. That little boy was me. Alright, welcome back to the channel. My name's Rick Wilson, Studio Bug, and I'm glad to have you here. What we're going to talk about is you might be a Selmian or from Selma if, okay? And so we're going to get right into it because, you know, we don't want these things to be too long. You know what I'm saying? I do. Why is this so far over that way? How about that? Will that work? That works for me. Okay. Okay. We're going to start off with, and if you played around Edgewood Elementary School, you played in the back there. I played baseball down there, and if you ever played baseball there, you saw this old man sitting in a fold-up chair. Well, his name was what? I heard somebody say it, Mr. Foster. Mr. Foster lived across the street. You remember he raised them horses and that kind of stuff. Anyway, he'd walk across the field. He'd open him up a chair back there at the softball field. And I think did they end up naming that field after him? I can't remember. Kind of think they did. Anyway, there's houses where he used to live now. They done bulldozed all that over. But anyway, his name was Mr. Foster. If you lived in Selma and you played baseball back there behind Edgewood School, well, you would know that. Alright, so if you ever got to fly in an airplane when you went to a revival at Block Park, in a big old tent revival, if you was there for every day of the tent revival, guess what you got to do? You got to fly in an airplane. They punched your ticket every time. You went out to Sail Field. I got to fly in a V-tail. I guess I don't know what kind of plane it was, Cessna or something, Cub. Anyway, took us way up in the air and rode around and all that kind of stuff. Wow, that was pretty cool. So anyway, if you're from Selma, you remember that. I was pretty young when that was going on. If you watch the slot cars over there in around Dixie, you remember Dixie Supermarket? It also had Dixie Haircut, and around the corner from that was NCR, and in that building right next to NCR was a slot car place where you could run slot cars all around. Well, see, I was a little kid then, and those were pretty expensive slot cars, what I can remember. Anyway, those things would go around there real fast, and the big kids had them. The little kids didn't, but they didn't like us to come around, but we did anyway. We'd come over there after we left 5 Acres. It was, whatever, about the same time. Daddy won cash at IGA's. Do you remember Gaston's IGA? I know you do, because we talked about it last week. We used to buy steak and stuff there, but they also used to give away money. And Daddy won $500. Now, that was back in the 60s. That was a lot of money back in the 60s. But anyway, I think I got a picture of it. If I do, I'll show you right here. But anyway, him holding that money. he was if you ever collected green stamps at A&P, I think it was A&P. Was it A&P? Was it A&P? Tell me down in the comments. If you ever watched Francis Kendrick run the Olympic torch down Broad Street, you may be from Selma. You remember that? I remember that. Here she comes. She was just running with that torch. And I forgot. Well, I think they. Anyway, I don't know that much about it, but I was there. I do remember her running it. I can't remember who she gave it to and where they run it to, but anyway, I made a mistake last week. I said that a week before last, I said it was the Wilby Theater that kept breaking the film and watching. That's wrong. That was the Walton Theater. And I'm surprised none of you corrected me on that. But anyway, that was the Walton Theater. But anyway, if you watch the Wilby Theater burn down, you might be from Selma. I rode my bicycle all the way from Bimmel Street when I heard about it. You could see the smoke going up in the air. My brother was working there at the time of the fire. They were telling everybody they was going to give tickets back out and let them come back in after the fire was put out, but that just didn't happen. That didn't happen. That was a terrible thing. He loved working there, and we all Selma hated that happen. But it did. What do you do? If you watched them tear down the Hotel Albert. I've got a Hotel Albert brick around here somewhere. We watched that too. I got one of the bricks and used it for a doorstop for years. It's in here somewhere, but I don't know where it's at. I remember going up to Tennessee at I think it was a Cracker Barrel, and they had some Hotel Albert Chinaware. I've got some chairs that I bought at a flea market that they said came from the Hotel Albert, but I really don't know if that's true or not. If you ever, now I don't know if y'all can tell me the name of this place, but if you ever bought donuts from across the Dairy Queen. Now my brother don't remember that, but I remember there was a donut place across from the Dairy Queen that's where the pawn shop was now, or used to be now. It's closed too. But anyway, I don't know if you remember that or not, but I do, because I remember going and buying donut holes there. I bet you remember that. But anyway, that used to be a donut place, but I don't know if anybody remember. I can't believe my brother doesn't know that. If you ever stayed at the Holiday Inn, yes, we used to have a Holiday Inn here. Don't anymore. If you ever swam in Valley Creek behind Hudson High School and swam up way up there behind them so that you could listen to the Hudson High school band play. Now see, I lived on Bimmel Street, which was only 2 streets away from Hudson High School, and we used to, me and several of my friends, Clint Ernest, and I think it was him, and some other friends, Stanley Harding, William Green, it was just a bunch of us. Anyway, we used to go up Valley Creek and listen to them. If you ever had a seance at Old Cahaba, did you do that? Yeah, we did. Had a seance, and if you ever had a hayride, I remember I think her name was Dorothy Wells, had a birthday party, and we had a hayride out at Old Cahaba. That was fun. If you ever watched rodeos and horse shows at Block Park, yes, they used to have a little rodeo place back behind the baseball field. They used to have little rodeos and that kind of thing. Me and Danny Stow and I think it's Billy Tuberville and Kevin Derryberry. I think we played at one of those in one of the stalls. They opened up the door and we played in one of the stalls at the rodeo. That was fun. We did that during high school. If you ever worked at the cigar factory, or if you ever worked at I don't really know what it was called when it was a cotton gin, or dealt with cotton. It was more of a fabric factory, I believe. But anyway, both my grandmother, Granny, and Papa, they worked there, and then when it changed over to the cigar factory, they both retired from the cigar factory. Pilliard Furniture, the glass plant. If you remember those places, they're not there anymore. If you ever saw an event at the old Armory, I'm not talking about the one on Dallas Avenue now, I'm talking about the old Armory, which is over there behind People's Bank. In that area. It's not People's Bank. If you ever went to People's Bank, because there ain't no People's Bank anymore, what do you do? If you ever crossed the Hatfield Bridge, or the, what do you call it, the Valley Creek Bridge, and went to the Hatfield store and bought a push-up. What are those things? Orange sherbet push-up. I just love those things. We walked over from the Mill Village to got those. Man, I used to love those things. If you remember when there was not a mall, there was horses and cows out there in that field. I think it's mostly horses. If you ever worked at American Candy Company, yes, I did. I was a plant manager, thank you very much, of American Candy Company when I first got out of the service, out of the Coast Guard. I was on first shift and then I was on second shift. It was different, but I enjoyed the job. I enjoyed the people. There was good people that worked there. Joe Crow, he was my boss, and the Gibeons and all those. Anyway, if you ever worked at Tisher Hardware, did you ever go to Tisher Hardware? I found some checks that my daddy had written for Tisher Hardware for some items that he had bought. Tisher Hardware is over there close to the other Mill Village, which is over there close to Bush Hog. Okay, I don't know that area well enough to speak too much about it. Put it in the comments. Maybe you are. If you ever bought a car from Heritage Chevrolet or Volkswagen from Seals Motor Company, if you ever bowled across the bridge at the Pizza Pronto, did you ever go upstairs and eat a pizza at the Pizza Pronto? Did you ever play pool at the Pizza Pronto, then walk across and then go to a picture show? You can't do that now. Just saying. Oh, did you ever listen to a dance at the warehouse? Did you ever go to the warehouse? Did you ever play at the warehouse? I never played at the warehouse, but I ain't lying. I hate to say I did go to the warehouse. Did you ever listen to Rick Wilson and Philip Morgan play and entertain at the Crossing before it burnt down? You remember that? I do. If you ever went to listen to me play at the Crossing, you may be from Selma. If you ever listened to Philip Morgan play, you may be from Selma. If you ever went outside of the Ram Shack and listened to the Rogues play with Blake Ernest and the rest of them, you might be from Selma, Alabama. Okay, that's all of them I got for right now. However, I'm gonna let Granny tell one of her tales. I ain't even picked it out yet of what it is, so I'll just write it up right here, so you'll know. Let's get into it.
But Willie never did get into nothing. He never did do nothing like that. They was looking over the kilo place. We was gonna move to call it the kilo place. There's some kilos. K-E-double-L-O. They lived there, and they had moved in a nicer home, you know, and we rented that. We was gonna live there. And we went over there and Buddy, he just loved to sell cans, bucket lids and things, you know. He found a sailor. Used to, you'd buy a gallon bucket of lard. There'd be a sailor, we called it, in there, and then the lid on top of that sailor. And Buddy, I think this was out of the lard. Buddy said, he sailed that thing. Buddy said, I'm going to tell you right now, I know that's going to hit Mr. K. Said he just turned it. I said, oh, I played it down.
I think Buddy said he squatted down to keep him. Thought he had been.
Mr. K said,
I said, he knows.
who in the hell? You thought, Mr. K, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean I didn't aim for to hit you. He said, hell, it hurt just as bad. Not in front. But Buddy said he didn't whip him that time. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, but I said he knowed I was going to hit him way before I got to it, and then he got to getting down trying to help him.
Trying to make it messy.
Yeah. He knew he was going to get the devil when he got home.
But he didn't whip him that time.
He did, but good.
I don't see how poor Mr. Case lived as long as he did.
Well, you wouldn't have thought how we could have put up with what he put on us.
Yeah, he's the cause of it. I think people were kinder to him at one time.
Well, he didn't whip us with one switch. He put two together, sometimes three.
I can
Usually with Buddy really with three or four together. And one time he told Buddy, said, you go out there and you get me a switch, and I mean you get a damn good one. Buddy come in with a bush. He trimmed it up, but it's so big it had total over. He come in with that discussion and grabbed everything I said a switch. Buddy said, well, you son of good. He said, David, go back and get a switch.
I guess he could have walked off a feet and got him a
Buddy
switch off
pulled
the
the
limb.
limb down. He got one about this long, but just before he got home with it, he took his knife. He wrung it, you know. Buddy, we did about 3 licks. That brush, that thing was all over the house. It wasn't everywhere.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I enjoyed bringing it to you. Mr. Kasem ended up dying with TB. Like I said, he was a horrible man anyway. But them kids didn't make life easy for him. A sailor, who would have thought? It's like taking the top off of a can of paint and sailing it through the air. And it just seemed to find Mr. Kasem right ahead. Anyway, hope y'all have a great week. Tune in next week. I'm sure I'll have another one for you. Hey, you be sweet. I know where you live. You may think I don't, but I'm sure if you're tuned to this channel, you're probably a good friend of mine, because nobody else will probably listen anyway. Oh, I don't know about that. I see I've got 222 viewers, 224 viewers, so I'm enjoying that. So thank you very much. If you're not, click and subscribe, because why? I'll be at your house. Y'all be good. Love you.